In the beginning, there was dust. Just a handful of dust. And there was a man and a pan, a stream and a dream. In 1858, William Green Russell swirled a pan of glittering sand into the snow-conceived waters of Little Dry Creek near present Denver, and a dream became real. From that amber-flecked sand found near the junction of the South Platte with Cherry Creek, Colorado was born. From that handful of dust exploded the golden dawn of a new era. Gold! Pike's Peak or bust resounded across the strife-torn nation, though Russell's find was some 70 miles north of America's most famous mountain. From Russell's magic pan, many dreams were conjured. A fresh start, new hope, a chance on a fortune, a ticket to utopia, and they started coming. By the thousands they came, on foot, on horseback, in wagons. Canvas-covered caravans slithered across sun-parched plains. Clouds of stifling dust followed, all for a golden handful in Eldorado. Their eyes on the horizon, the mountains their goal. There were big and little people, as mountains are big and little, as hopes and dreams are big and little. For some, big dreams came true as the mountains gave up their treasure. John Gregory struck it at Central City. George A. Jackson hit pay dirt at Idaho Springs. Cowboy Bob Womack sold too cheap at Cripple Creek. And Haw Tabor and J.J. Brown at Leadville. Their dreams were as big as the mountains. For many, it was an impossible dream. Gold was on their lips, but none in their pockets. The mountains, which smiled upon a few, engulfed many, and to dust they returned. Their names, their dreams, are but dust. Some traveled only a short way and turned back, discouraged. Others pushed on, determined to overcome any fate, and so to lay the foundation for a great state. They kept coming in an endless stream. From the far pockets of humanity they came. Farmers, doctors, lawyers, drifters, drunkards, derelicts, the illiterate, the educated, the best, the worst, all dreamers. There were the doers, of good, of bad, the lawmen, Matt Dillon, Jim Clark, Billy Cousins, the Lawless, the Espinosas, Butch Cassidy, Bob Ford. And there were the men of God. Father Dyer, Sheldon Jackson, Reverend Darling, and Bishop Matchabuck. There were two-fisted padres and pistol-packing preachers, their eyes lifted to the heavens, their feet sloshing in the mud. Some met God in a simple frame church, complete with bell and steeple. Others found him in rustic log cabins with a sawdusted dirt floor. While for other pioneers, a verdant valley became their flower-carpeted altar. And the wind, murmuring in the spruce, echoed the voice of the Creator. There were the dreamers with vision to see over and through the mountains. Not even the rugged Rockies were too big for big men with big dreams. To build railroads through mountains of granite was an impossible dream, scoffed those of little vision. W.J. Palmer, David Moffett, and Otto Mears were building their dreams, while others were nodding, "It cannot be done." Almost an engineering miracle, even by today's standards, was the building of the Durango to Silverton narrow gauge in 1882. Crews labored 9 months, even in howling blizzards of the high country, to bring the train through. It is estimated that more than $300 million in precious metals rode the rails through the treacherous River of Lost Souls Canyon. It was over narrow gauge arteries of steel, built along sheer canyon walls, that precious ores flowed from virtually inaccessible mines to mills and to smelters and markets in the cities. And so it was in New Eldorado, a little more than a century ago, when a handful of dust broke the dawn of a golden era. The cry of Pike's Peak or bust is but an echo. The miner's pick has turned to rust, and Little Dry Creek to worthless dust. The splashing song of the old mill is silent. The desks are empty. The bell is still. The good, the bad, the winners, the losers, sleep side by side in the rocky soil from which their quest for fortune came. Their search was frantic, but brief. They are dust now. The hoping and dreaming, the laughing and living, the sighing and dying, the swearing and praying have ended. But as the shadows deepen, the echo of Eldorado lingers on. It's more than a century later. More than 50,000 days have come and gone since Eldorado witnessed that first dawn. Though the angry gods of the elements and thoughtless plundering of greedy mortals have taken their destructive toll, the song of Eldorado faintly echoes its golden call. The robust refrain of "Gold in them thar hills" still resounds across Colorado's mountain meadows and granite rills. For those who will see, for those who will listen, the gold-flecked soil will begin to glisten. Visions of the gold rush days of lore are conjured from 60 and more ghosted mining towns of New Eldorado. That golden era comes alive in those Colorado cities that still survive, such as Breckenridge, Tiger, Creede, Cripple Creek, Telluride, Ouray, Georgetown, Leadville, These are the sights and sounds of Colorado's restless ghosts, weathered cabins with their hingeless doors and sightless windows, creaking hawk-marked boards, shutters banging in the wind, deserted dance halls and somber saloons, barless, empty jails, and barkless hanging trees, empty pews, and dusty desks, sinister sandstone walls, shrouding hollow, haunted halls, oarless cars and time-worn trams, smokeless smelters and toothless crushers, still mills with silent gears, cold forges and mute anvils, dark depots beside rusty rails, twisted and tilted tombstones turn the clock back 100 years. With Central City as the golden hinge of the kingdom's treasure chest, more than 20 mining camps such as Black Hawk, Eureka, Mountain City, and Nevadaville made this the richest square mile on Earth. These boom camps produced more than $500 million in precious dust. Imagine a culture-minded audience coming from the dark and dank mines where they worked by day to this opera house at night to enjoy a brilliant staging of Shakespeare's Othello. The nation's finest artists appeared here, and still do. Many notables were feted at the elegant Teller House. Silver bricks lined its entrance for President Grant's visit in 1873. Mark Twain and Horace Greeley also slept here. They say George Pullman got his ideas for the Pullman Railroad bedrooms from the bunk arrangement in mining cabins at nearby Nevadaville. Most of the foundations for buildings in this area were of stone. A meandering mountain stream and aspen seedlings share a miner's living room and fireplace. From the foggy mists engulfing an alpine meadow, Eldorado's restless spirits recall their robust past. With little more than the stretch of the imagination, you can conjure the sights and sounds of a century ago. The clank of a miner's pick. The sloshing of golden gravel in a splashing sluice. The old dredge as it rudely chews, slashes, and gouges its way through a gold-laden riverbed. The tinny ragtime piano, giggling girls and clinking bottles of the crowded dance hall. All are golden memories for today's dreamers. Architecture in Colorado's golden era was as varied as the pioneers and their occupations. This is an early-day rancher's cabin in the area around Nederland, Eldorado, and Rollinsville. It was near here at Caribou that the ore was mined for the Silver Sidewalk, which President Grant walked on in 1873. The high winds and heavy snows pushing relentlessly against this century-old store and blacksmith shop at Apex have taken their heavy toll. Bay windows were popular with pioneer builders. Sunlight was at a premium during the dreary high country winters. Entertainment during the evenings in this old two-story pleasure palace now consists mainly of television westerns. No ghosts here. Note the TV antenna. The more affluent built ornate, many-gabled Victorian mansions. J.J. and the unsinkable Molly Brown made a bundle in Leadville. It was here, at their Society Row mansion in Denver, that she spent it, in lavish entertainment. Denver's birthplace and adolescence were on Larimer Street. Calamity Jane and Buffalo Bill were a part of its colorful past. This historic 7-block area has been well preserved and is now restored as Larimer Square, a modern-day reminder of the gaudy gold and silver era. The old Victorian-style Tivoli Brewery near here has also been preserved as a historic site. The Colorado Capitol, built at the turn of the century and patterned after the national capital, is crowned with 250 ounces of 24-karat gold, contributed by the mining interests of Colorado. Some mining camps, such as Aspen, Colorado, now have a new rush to the Rockies. Those seekers of that special kind of powdery white gold. The Aspen area, now a world-famed resort, boasted such boom camps as Ute City, Roaring Fork City, and Independence, as well as Ashcroft, where these remnants still survive. Skiing in this famed winter recreation area is not new. Cross-country skiing began here in the late 1800s, when miners learned that long boards were the fastest and easiest way to get to the snowbound areas. Miners would ski down for a night on the town after a hard day's work in the mines. This old gambling hall and sporting house has lived in this high meadow near Aspen since the 1870s. By the 1970s, parts of it were moved to Denver, Pasadena, Biloxi, Duluth, and Hartford. How many more dawns will pass before it, too, returns to dust? Nature's brutal elements will take their toll. That is inevitable. Man's thoughtless plundering can also erase this remnant of history. That is avoidable. In Colorado, as in all of scenic America, two things have made us what we are. History, that breathes exciting color into Colorado's past, and nature, with all of her magnificent works. Very often, we do things to effect both. Good things, certainly. Bad things, too. Maybe we should mark a towering Colorado mountain fragile, a tumbling, icy clear stream perishable, or post signs like, "Please keep off the tundra. Don't write on the cliff. No refuse in the lake." But that would become part of the problem. Better, let's just think and be responsible to ourselves, our land, and our children. Be good hosts and good guests in a magic environment that can be a changeless bridge for the generations, immune to the assault of urbanization, change, and thoughtless blight. We want you to find a wonderful Colorado experience today. And we want to be sure you'll find us just the same for another golden dawn tomorrow.